Hello everyone, back to today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, this will take us to around the 8th of September. So we're going into the first week of September with week to 10 day updates. Coming to the end of the first week of September, actually, with week to 10 day updates. So it looks as though high pressure is coming back. It's going to be turning a lot warmer and drier, I think, as we go through first week of September. That classic sort of early September weather. I've been saying in videos for several weeks that the early part of September is very often one of the most reliable periods of the whole year, actually, for high pressure and for warm, dry conditions. I mean, of course, we do get high pressure, warm, dry conditions at other times of the year, but not reliably so. But early September is one of those periods that very, very often does seem to present anticyclonic weather, warm, dry, fine conditions in the early part of the autumn is very, very, very commonplace. So occasionally it doesn't happen. I don't think we had any particularly extended spell of warm, dry weather in early September last year. Last year had quite a cool and unsettled September, but it is a very regular thing, and the charts we're seeing for the next week to 10 days are classic. The questions are always how long it goes on for. Sometimes this could be relatively short. It could be kind of like restricted just to the first week of September. Sometimes it can stretch on throughout the whole of the month. That happened memorably in 2009. Where it barely rained. It rained throughout the whole of September in that month. So you just never know really how long these high pressures are going to last in September. They can get a little bit stuck and be quite protracted. So I have to see about that. But certainly the charts we've got coming up for next week are classic early September warm, dry conditions, and I'll talk you through everything that's going on there in a second. Just to say that today's first video was the ECMWF 30-day ensemble update. That's taking us through the next month across Europe into the second half of September. So we'll begin with centering the temperature. That's edging down ever more. In fact, it has collapsed a little bit, really. A couple of days ago, this was above 18 degrees. Around 5 or 6 days ago, it's above 18 degrees. Now we're down to 17.3, provisional to the 27th, yesterday. That's 1.5 degrees above average. It's likely to stabilise at that position for a day or so. I mean, it'll probably drop through the final couple of days of the month due to some quite chilly nights that we've got coming up in the second half of the week. If we get a bit of a downwards correction, which we often do, then chances are we're going to come out underneath 17 degrees. I expect we'll probably come out somewhere around 16.9 or maybe even 16.8. That will still be a little bit above average, but not as big a deviation this month as we've had for several months. So if we go back to the earlier point of the year, we find that April was our first big deviation, coming out at 2 degrees above average, 9.8, and then May came out at 13.2, again pretty big deviation at 2.1 degrees above average. June, that one came out at 16.1, again around 2 degrees above average. So for around 3 months from April through to June, we was running around a 2-degree temperature anomaly. And then in July, of course, we had the phenomenally hot weather through July, which came out at over 3 degrees above average with a CT of 19.1, exceptionally hot month in July. The August anomaly is going to be lower than that. It's probably going to come out somewhere around a degree above average, I would have thought. So we're shaved off a couple of degrees from the anomaly from July to August, but it will still be a little bit above average. Only February and March so far this year have been colder than average. January, of course, also came out warmer than average, older than average, at 1.5 degrees above average. So we've only got February and March coming out colder than average, although they're not big anomalies, only 0.8 of a degree below average for both of those 2 months. But at its peak, that cold that we had, we forget it now, of course, it's been so warm for so long, but we forget that at its peak, the cold that we had through late February and into early March really was quite exceptional. With, I mean, the 1st of March was the coldest spring day on record this year. and we barely got above -5 degrees all day across some parts of the country through the first day or so of March. So at its peak, the cold was exceptionally cold, but we've only had a couple of cold and average months so far this year. The rest of the year has been warm, exceptionally warm at times, particularly so in July. And August will be another above average month, even if the deviation is lower than we've had certainly since April. Right, so this is what's going on for September then. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet is an area in the actual high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. We've got above average height setting up over and to the east and the northeast of us again. This is very much where the high pressure was through most of the summer, of course, dominating from the Atlantic up to Scandinavia. There is a bit of a ridge in the Atlantic as well. Of course, it won't be as hot as it was back in the high part of summer, back in July, because we're much further on into the year now, but it'll still be warm to very warm, and it's going to be dry as well because all of the low pressure is shoved off up to Greenland. That's where the jet stream is as well, indicated by those black lines. So we bring the wind in from the east and the southeast, and it will be warm and dry through that first week or so of September. GFS is very similar, so we've got again the above average heights over and to the east of the UK. Below average heights in the Atlantic to some degree, a little bit more so than we see with the GFS, with the ECM actually, but makes very little difference really. We're still bringing in a warm to very warm east or southeasterly wind, maybe in a little bit of a southerly component to that southeasterly wind. So well, it might get temperatures up to the mid to upper 20s Celsius with that through the first week of September, back into the 80s Fahrenheit. High pressure really dominating through the first week of September. GFS temperature and precipitation on ensembles looking like this. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We find that we're a little bit above average at the moment, but we're going to go cooler than average in the next couple of days. We're looking at Birmingham today, by the way. So that would allow some colder nights to close out the month. That's why I think the CET will drop a little bit more after it stabilises today. I don't think there'll be a drop in the CET today, but I think the second half of the week will probably see a couple of cold nights on Wednesday night to Thursday, and then again Thursday night to Friday. And that should be enough to take us, with a downwards correction, take us to underneath 17 degrees for the central England temperature for this year. After that, into the weekend, this is Saturday, Thursday, and then this is the first week into the second week of September just there. After that, it looks like temperatures are going to be above average, certainly through this first week of September. By the second week of September, very extended range stuff, of course, this, we do see more scatter appearing within the ensemble, but then that would always be the case. You would always expect, but as you go into the unreliable time frame of the model, it will start playing around with various scenarios. So reliably, it looks like we're in for a lot of dry and warm weather through that first week of September. More speculative about what's going to be happening in the second week. Precipitation wise, a lot of dry weather coming up over the next few days, and then certainly through the first week of September. Second week of September, which is this period just here, possibly some more precipitation spikes appearing, so it may be that the second week of September will turn a little bit cooler and a little bit more unsettled, but of course it's too far away that to have any confidence in it. Temperature anomalies, these have gone warmer than average again, so this is the temperature anomaly from the 28th of August to the 5th of September, coming out above average for the UK, for Ireland, and in fact for most parts of Europe, coming out above average in the week ahead, and much drier than average as well. So after a slightly cooler and more unsettled interlude over the past week or so, we are back now to back to business, if you like, hotter, warmer, drier than average conditions with our anomaly charts for the weekend, back to normal really for certainly the summer of 2018. This from the 28th of August to 5th of September, and substantially drier than average, particularly so for England and Wales. This is how things are looking on Friday then, with the ridge building through the country and going to the east. Low pressure is out in the Atlantic as well. Over the weekend, this high pressure intensifies and inflates. So by Sunday, the high pressure is centering itself over the Low Countries and Germany, and that's bringing the air in from an east or southeasterly direction. That area going to be containing very warm temperatures indeed, going into the mid to possibly upper 20s Celsius there by sunny. It will depend on sunshine amounts. The one thing you can get with these high pressures in September is quite a bit of cloud, so it will depend how much sunshine there is as to how high the temperatures will get. But certainly mid 20 Celsius is possible by Sunday, and that might rise into the upper 20 Celsius through the early part of next week. There are the upper air temperatures for Monday next week. They're looking very warm. Hot temperatures, upper air temperatures are down across France and the Bay of Biscay yet again. Into Tuesday, gentle east-southeasterly winds bringing in very warm or hot air from off the continent. There's the upper air temperatures, 15 Celsius iceberg getting close to southern parts of England yet again. Now, 15 Celsius iceberg in July is going to be taking you into the low to mid 30s Celsius. In September, the 15 Celsius iceberg will be taking you set to the upper 20s Celsius. You wouldn't entirely rule out 30 degrees, but it is always a push in September to get the temperature to 30 degrees. So let's say upper 20s Celsius, kind of 28, 29 potentially. In the south through the early part of next week. That's Wednesday. High pressure continues to dominate. It's moving up towards Scandinavia. The wind remains from an east-southeasterly direction. Again, 15 Celsius iceberg is close to the south. And then in the second half of next week, just a suggestion of a little bit of a breakdown taking place. It's how things looking at day 10, Friday 7th of September, and possibly signs of a bit of a fungy breakdown beginning to develop in the south and the southwest, but still really quite warm. The air is still coming up from a southerly to southeasterly direction. In the extended range, the GFS does break the Atlantic through. So this is one of those runs that we saw in the ensemble that for the second week of September, it's turning a good deal cooler and a good deal more unsettled as well, with low pressure moving in through this second week of September into the middle part of the month. That's unreliable though. It's a very long way out. The model is always going to be playing around with different scenarios in its extended range. So it could be that second week of September we'll see a break to much cooler and much more unsettled weather, but it's too early to say that. You just never know in September how long these areas of high pressure are going to last for. So this is how the ECMWF is looking. That one again has the ridge building close to the country over the weekend. That's the situation by Sunday. High pressure centred just to our east, bringing up again the air from a very warm southerly southeasterly direction. This high pressure fest goes on through next week. This takes us to day 10, which is Friday the 7th of September. No real sign of a breakdown. The high pressure remains in control. It's not quite as hot, this, as the GFS, because there's less of a sort of southerly type component to wind. The highest temperature would probably be on Monday, where we've got this slight southeasterly feed. But after that, you'll notice Tuesday brings some cooler air around the top of the high pressure from the north and the northwest. And then as high pressure repositions itself through the second half of next week, there's no real southerly component to that wind. Wind direction will always be the important point in September as to how high the temperatures get. There are the upper air temperatures. We do still have quite a bit of heat to our south across France, but actually the upper air temperature is not overly hot for the UK, and that's because it cools down after Monday, and then after although the high pressure re-establishes itself, there's no particularly hot feed of air. So that will be temperatures pleasantly warm, sort of upper teens, low 20 Celsius through much of next week, but not anywhere near as hot as or very warm as the GFS is suggesting. Nevertheless, high pressure is dominating, so it is warm and dry with the ECMWF up to day 10. And then finally we've got the GM. That one is showing the high pressure taking a little bit longer to get going. So this is a situation on Monday, and it still looks a little bit changeable for northern parts of the country. For the south, we are ridging in the high pressure, but again, not particularly hot air coming in with that high pressure. For the extended range, the GM does trend with the other models in building this high pressure up further. That's how things are looking by day 10, Friday 7th of September. And that one, again, high pressure is well and truly in control of weather, and upper air temperatures are a little bit warmer than they are with the ECM, probably lifting temperatures to the mid-20s Celsius there with that one. So, all models are in agreement that the high pressure is increasingly influential through the first week of September. As I said, this is classic early September stuff. We see a lot of this as the years go by, and if you've been watching gas weathers over the years, you'll know that this kind of scenario with high pressure close to the country in early September is something that we do see a lot. We have seen it a lot over the years. This is another one of those years that is really classic early September anticyclonic, warm, dry conditions. How long it's going on for, we can say, but it looks like it's going to go on up to day 10, which is kind of like the end of the first week of September. Whether it breaks down through the second week of September, as the GFS is suggesting it might do at the moment, we'll have to wait and see on that. But certainly for the first week to 10 days, so that's week of September anyway, it does look as though it's basically warm and dry. To be determined is how much sunshine there will be, and also how warm it's going to get, and of course we'll be firming up on that detail over the next few days. Right, don't forget to check out the ECMWF 30-day ensemble update, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.